The stars looked different from here. Commander Hyunwoo stood on the bridge of the UES horizon and stared out at space that no human had ever seen before. Behind him, the rest of his crew worked at their stations. The ship hummed with quiet energy as they pushed deeper into unknown territory. It was the year 2347. Humanity had finally learned to travel faster than light. The Horizon was Earth's first ship to venture beyond the solar system. They had been traveling for 3 weeks now, exploring the great darkness between stars. Everything they found would be new. Everything they learned would change humanity forever. Hyunwoo was a calm man. He had seen war before, back on Earth during the terrible years when nations fought over water and food. He had watched cities burn and people die, but he had also seen humanity survive when everyone said they would not. That taught him something important. Humans were hard to kill. "Commander, I am picking up strange readings," said Dr. Jiwoo from the science station. She was young and brilliant, with eyes that always seemed to be studying something. She had dreamed of finding aliens since she was a child. "There is something in that nebula ahead. Energy signatures I have never seen before." Hyunwoo walked over to look at her screens. The nebula was a massive cloud of gas and dust that glowed with soft colors. But inside it, his ship's sensors showed something else. Metal. Lots of metal. And strange power readings that seemed almost alive. "Should we investigate?" asked Lieutenant Taemin from the weapons station. He was the youngest officer on the bridge, barely 25 years old. His hand rested near the controls for their defensive systems, though those systems were mostly untested. Earth had built the Horizon for exploration, not war. "We came out here to explore," Hyunwoo said. "Let us see what is there. But stay alert. If something feels wrong, we leave immediately." The Horizon moved slowly into the nebula. The colorful gas swirled around their ship like ocean water. Their sensors pushed through the interference, searching for the source of those strange readings. What they found made everyone on the bridge go silent. Ships, dozens of them, or what was left of ships. The debris field stretched for miles in every direction. Some of the wreckage was huge. Pieces of vessels that must have been 10 times larger than the Horizon. Others were smaller, but all showed signs of violence. Burn marks. Torn metal. Frozen explosions captured in the vacuum of space. "There was a battle here," Jiwoo whispered. "A big one. These ships, their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Look at these designs. This metal should not even exist according to our physics." Hyunwoo felt something cold settle in his stomach. If beings with this kind of technology had fought and died here, what chance would humanity have if they met whatever won this battle? But he kept his face calm. A good commander never showed fear. "Start scanning everything," he ordered. "We need to learn as much as we can. But keep our engines warm. I want to be able to run if we need to." For an hour, they studied the wreckage. Jiwoo and her team worked frantically, gathering data on technologies that should not exist. Taemin kept watching the sensors, looking for any sign of danger. The crew moved with quiet efficiency, but everyone felt the tension. They were seeing proof that humanity was not alone in the universe, and they were seeing proof that the universe was violent. Then the alarms started screaming. "Contact!" Taemin shouted. "Multiple ships decloaking all around us."
They were hiding in the nebula.
The view screen filled with massive shapes. War vessels, each one bigger than anything humanity had ever built, materialized from nothing. They surrounded the Horizon in a perfect formation. Their hulls were dark and covered in weapons. Strange symbols glowed along their sides, and their engines burned with power that made the Horizon's reactor look like a candle. Hyunwoo forced himself to breathe slowly. They were trapped. Running was impossible. Fighting was suicide. All they could do was wait and see what these aliens wanted. A moment later, light flared on the bridge. A holographic image formed in the air, and everyone stared. The alien was huge, nearly 8 feet tall even in the projection. She had 4 arms, skin the color of blood, and eyes that glowed with intelligence and something else. Hunger. Power. The absolute certainty of someone who had never lost. She wore armor made of strange metal and bone. Trophies hung from her belt, pieces of other beings she had defeated. When she spoke, her voice came through the ship's translators in perfect English, though the accent was strange and cold. "I am Warlord Karanix of the Vraxian Empire," she said. "You have entered our territory without permission. Your ship is primitive. Your weapons are toys. You have 2 choices. Surrender now and accept our rule, or die here in this forgotten place where no one will ever find you." The bridge was silent. Hyunwoo could feel his crew looking at him, waiting for orders. Jiwoo had gone pale. Taemin's hand was shaking near his weapons controls. They all understood what was happening. Humanity's first contact with alien life. And it was with someone who wanted to conquer them. Karanik studied them through the hologram, her four eyes moving from person to person like a predator choosing prey. Then her gaze settled on Hyunwoo. "You are the leader," she said. It was not a question. "I will come to your vessel. You will kneel before me. You will swear loyalty to the Empire. And if you do this quickly, I will let your crew live as slaves rather than killing them all. This is more mercy than I usually show to lesser species." Lesser species. The words hung in the air. Hyunwoo looked at the alien warlord. She believed it completely. In her eyes, humans were nothing. Weak, primitive, not even worth considering as equals. Part of Hyunwoo wanted to activate weapons, to go down fighting rather than surrender. But he was a practical man, a smart man, and he knew that sometimes the best strategy was to let your enemy think they had already won. "You may come aboard," he said calmly. "We will meet in the main cargo bay." Karanik smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Wise choice, human. I will bring my honor guard. We will arrive in 10 of your minutes. Be ready to kneel." The hologram vanished. The bridge exploded with whispered conversations. Everyone was scared. Everyone wanted to know what the commander would do. But Hyunwoo just stood quietly, staring at the space where the alien warlord had been. Jiwoo came close to him and spoke in a low voice. "Commander, we cannot fight them. Their technology is too advanced, and there are too many of their ships. If we resist, they will destroy us in seconds." "I know," Hyunwoo said. "Then what do we do?" Taemin asked. "Do we really kneel to these aliens? Do we let them make Earth into a slave world?" Hyunwoo turned to look at his crew. They were young and scared and far from home. But they were also human, and humans had survived worse than this. "Much worse, no," he said quietly. "We do not kneel. Not today, not ever. But we will be smart about this. Let her come aboard. Let her think she has won, and we will see what happens next." He looked back at the view screen, at the alien war fleet surrounding his small ship, and somewhere deep inside he felt something that surprised him. Not fear, not despair, hope. The cargo bay felt too small. The crew had cleared it of equipment and supplies, but it still seemed cramped when Karanik materialized inside with a flash of light. Her teleportation technology was smooth and perfect. One moment, the bay was empty. The next moment, 6 massive aliens stood there. Each warrior was huge. They wore armor that seemed alive, shifting and adjusting to their movements. Their weapons hummed with power that made the air feel heavy. But none of them were as impressive as Karanik herself. She stood in the center, her 4 arms relaxed but ready, her red skin seeming to glow in the artificial light. She had to crouch slightly because the horizon's ceilings were built for humans, not for 8-foot-tall aliens. Commander Hyunwoo waited with his senior officers. Jiwoo stood to his left, her scientific curiosity fighting with her fear. Taemin was on his right, trying to look brave but failing. Around the edges of the bay, more crew members watched with pale faces. They had all heard stories about first contact with aliens. This was not how any of those stories went. Karanik looked around the cargo bay with obvious contempt. Her eyes took in every detail, the simple metal walls, the basic lighting, the primitive equipment. To her, this must have looked like savages playing with fire. "This is your finest vessel?" she asked. "This is what you send to explore the stars? My people were building better ships 50,000 years ago." 50,000 years. The number hung in the air. Human civilization was barely 10,000 years old. These aliens had been traveling between stars since before humans learned to farm. The scale of it was crushing. One of the Vraxian warriors, a younger female with 3 scars across her face, spoke in their language. Karanik responded, and both of them laughed. It was not a kind laugh. The young warrior looked at the humans like someone might look at insects. "My second-in-command, Velmora, asks why I bother talking to you at all," Karanik said. "She suggests we simply take this ship and everyone on it as specimens. Your species would make interesting study subjects. We could learn how such primitive beings managed to develop faster than light travel." Jiwoo stiffened. "Specimens? Study subjects, like animals in a laboratory. Hyunwoo felt anger flash through him, but he kept his face neutral. Showing emotion now would be a mistake. But I am feeling generous today, Karanix continued. She walked closer, her heavy footsteps making the deck plates ring. She stopped directly in front of Hyunwoo, towering over him. So I will give you a choice. Kneel now. Swear that your species will serve the Vraxian Empire, and I will take you back to your world as vassals rather than slaves. Your people will pay tribute, but they will live. They will have some freedom. This is more than most species receive. She spread all four of her arms wide in a gesture that was clearly meant to intimidate. Her voice grew louder, filling the cargo bay with its power. Or refuse. Fight. And I will destroy this ship. Then I will go to your Earth and burn your cities one by one until nothing remains but ash and memory. Your choice is simple. Kneel or die. What will it be, human? The cargo bay was silent. Every human held their breath. This was the moment that would define everything. Hyunwoo could feel the weight of it pressing down on him. If he knelt, Earth would become a vassal world. If he refused, everyone on this ship would die, and the Vraxian Empire would come for Earth anyway. It was not really a choice at all, but Hyunwoo had learned something during the war years on Earth. Sometimes the worst position was also an opportunity. When you had nothing left to lose, you could take risks that a careful enemy would never expect. He looked up at Karanix, really looked at her, studied her posture, her expression, the way she held herself. She was absolutely confident. She had done this hundreds of times before, maybe thousands. Every time the lesser species knelt. Every time she won. And that confidence was a weakness. Slowly, Hyunwoo smiled. It was a small smile, barely visible. But it was there, a knowing smile. The kind of smile someone wears when they know something their opponent does not. Karanix's eyes narrowed. You find this amusing? No. Hyunwoo said quietly. I find it interesting. Interesting? Karanix's voice dropped to a dangerous level. I offer you life or death and you find it interesting. Perhaps you do not understand your situation. Let me make it clearer. She moved faster than Hyunwoo expected. One moment she was standing still. The next, one of her hands gripped his shoulder with crushing force. Her strength was incredible. He felt his bones creak under the pressure, but he did not cry out. He kept his eyes locked on hers. I could tear you apart with my bare hands, Karanix said. I could kill everyone on this ship in less than a minute. I have lived for 3 centuries. I have conquered 17 star systems. Warlords who ruled for thousands of years have knelt before me. What makes you think you are different? The pressure on his shoulder increased. Hyunwoo felt something pop. Pain shot down his arm. But he kept smiling that small, knowing smile. I'll slay you, human, if you don't kneel, Karanix roared. Her voice was like thunder. It echoed off the metal walls. Her warriors moved forward, ready to strike if she gave the order. Kneel now, swear your loyalty, or die where you stand. The silence that followed was total. Even the ship's engines seemed to quiet, as if the universe itself was waiting for Hyunwoo's answer. And then he said the 2 words that changed everything. No, you won't. Karanix stared at him. For a moment, she seemed genuinely confused. In 300 years of life, in 17 conquered systems, no one had ever said that to her. No one had ever looked certain death in the face and simply refused it. What did you say? She asked softly. You won't slay me, Hyunwoo repeated. His voice was steady despite the pain in his shoulder. You won't destroy this ship, and you definitely won't attack Earth, because if you do any of those things, you will destroy your entire empire. Now Karanix did look surprised. Velmora and the other warriors exchanged glances. This was not following the normal script. The human was supposed to beg, to plead, to accept his fate. Instead, he was making threats. You think you can threaten me? Karanix laughed, but it sounded forced. You with your primitive ship and your weak bodies? What could you possibly do to harm the Vraxian Empire? Hyunwoo's smile grew a little wider. Oh, I think we can do quite a lot. You see, Warlord, you made a mistake. A big one. You assumed we were just explorers. You assumed we were peaceful scientists looking for friends among the stars. And maybe some of us are. He paused, letting the words sink in. But Earth did not send its best scientists on this mission. It sent its survivors. It sent people who had lived through wars that nearly destroyed our entire species. It sent people who understand that hope is good, but preparation is better. Jiwoo stepped forward. Her fear was gone now, replaced by something harder. You studied our transmissions, you learned our language. But did you study our history? Did you learn what humans do when threatened? Did you understand what we are really capable of? Karenix released Hyunwoo's shoulder and stepped back. For the first time since boarding the horizon, she looked uncertain. Something in the human's confidence was genuine. He was not bluffing. He actually believed he had a weapon that could threaten her empire. But that was impossible. Her sensors had scanned this ship a dozen times. It was primitive, barely functional. There were no weapons that could harm her fleet, no technology that could challenge the empire, unless they had found something in the debris field, unless they had discovered something her people had missed. Explain, she commanded. Now, what do you think you have that could possibly threaten us? Hyunwoo straightened up, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. His smile was gone now. In its place was something much more dangerous. Absolute certainty. We have something better than a weapon, he said. We have understanding, we know your weakness, and we know how to use it. Karenix crossed her forearms and waited. She wanted to believe the human was lying, but something in his eyes told her he was not. She had seen that look before in warriors who knew they held the winning hand. It made her uncomfortable in a way she had not felt for decades. Tell me about your weakness, Hyunwoo said. How long has your empire existed? 50,000 of your years, Karenix said. She spoke with pride. We have ruled this sector since before your species learned to use tools. Exactly, Hyunwoo nodded. 50,000 years using the same technology. The same power source. The same weapons. You have been so successful that you never needed to change. Why would you? Your zero-point energy drives are perfect. They draw power from quantum vacuum. Infinite energy, no waste, no weakness. Jiwoo pulled out a small tablet and held it up. On the screen were complex calculations and energy readings. Except they do have a weakness. We found it in the debris field. All those destroyed ships out there, they all use the same power source as you, and they all died the same way. Velamora stepped forward, speaking quickly in Vraxian. Karenix responded sharply, but her voice had a note of concern. The young warrior looked at the human tablet with new interest. Those ships were destroyed by the Confederation, Karenix said. They are our enemies. They have weapons that can breach our shields. No, Jiwoo said firmly. They died because someone weaponized their own power source against them. Look at the energy signatures. The explosions came from inside the ships, not outside. Their zero-point cores went critical all at once. The reaction cascaded through their entire fleet in seconds. The cargo bay went quiet. Karenix stared at the tablet, and for the first time Hyunwoo saw real fear in her eyes. She understood what Jiwoo was saying. She understood the implications. You are lying, Karenix said, but her voice was not as strong as before. Such a thing is not possible. Zero-point energy is stable. It cannot be weaponized. It can if you know how. Taemin spoke up. The young lieutenant looked nervous but determined. Our quantum drive does not just move us through space. It manipulates quantum fields, and when we studied your power signatures, we realized something. Your cores are all linked. They share quantum entanglement to synchronize energy across your fleet. It makes them efficient, but it also makes them vulnerable. Hyunwoo watched Karenix process this information. He could see her warrior mind working through the scenarios. If the humans were right, if they really could destabilize zero-point cores, then they could destroy an entire fleet with a single weapon. It would not matter how strong the Vraxian ships were. It would not matter how many warriors they had. They would all die when their own power sources turned against them. You have not asked the right question yet, Hyunwoo said softly. You should ask why humans developed this technology. Why would such a young species even think to weaponize quantum fields? Karenix looked at him. Why? Because we have been trying to kill ourselves for thousands of years, Hyunwoo said. Your species grew strong through conquering others. Our species grew strong through surviving each other. Do you understand the difference? He gestured to Jiwoo, who brought up images on her tablet. Pictures of Earth, cities in ruins, wastelands where forests used to be, oceans choked with plastic, and worse things. Much worse things. This is what we did to ourselves, Jiwoo said. Nuclear weapons that could destroy entire continents. Biological weapons that could kill every living thing. Climate change that nearly made our world uninhabitable. We created these horrors while we were still stuck on one planet, before we had any enemies except ourselves. The Vraxian warriors looked at the images with something like shock. Velmora spoke quietly to Koronix, her voice uncertain. Even these experienced soldiers seemed disturbed by what they were seeing. You destroyed your own world? Koronix asked. Almost, Hyunwoo said. Many times. We came so close to extinction that we lost count. But we survived. Every time somehow we survived. And every time we survived, we learned new ways to kill, new ways to destroy, new ways to turn everything around us into a weapon. He stepped closer to Koronix, ignoring the pain in his shoulder. You live for 300 years. That is impressive. It means you have time to learn. Time to perfect your skills. Time to become wise. But it also means you are careful. You do not take unnecessary risks because you have centuries to lose. We live for maybe 100 years if we are lucky, Jiwoo added. Most of us will not even reach that. Do you know what that means? It means we are desperate. We do not have time to perfect anything. We do not have time to be careful. We try things that should not work. We take risks that should kill us, and sometimes just often enough we succeed. Taemin pulled up more data on his console. The Horizon is not really an exploration ship. Earth built it for first contact, yes, but we expected first contact to be dangerous, so we packed it with every weapon we could think of. Not traditional weapons. Those would be useless against advanced aliens. No, we brought weapons that could exploit any technology we might encounter. The quantum disruptor is just one example, Hyunwoo said. We have others. Nanoweapons that can consume metal and flesh. Information viruses that can corrupt any computer system. Gravity manipulators that can crush ships without ever touching them. We brought all of this because we did not know what we would find out here. We brought it because humans always prepare for the worst. Koronix was silent for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was different, quieter, more thoughtful. You are saying that your species weaponizes everything, that you turn even peaceful technology into tools of destruction. Yes, Hyunwoo said simply, because for us everything is a potential weapon. Everything is a potential threat. We have lived with that reality for so long that it has become part of who we are. Velmora asked a question in Vraxian. Koronix translated. She wants to know why you are telling us this. Why would you reveal your capabilities? Is this not stupid from a strategic viewpoint? Hyunwoo smiled again, but this time it was a sad smile. Because I want you to understand something important. If you attack Earth, we will not fight fairly. We will not face you in honorable combat. We will use every dirty trick we know. We will weaponize your own technology against you. We will share that technology with every species you have conquered, and we will burn your empire to ashes, even if it means burning ourselves as well. He paused, letting the words sink in. That is what humans do when threatened. We do not calculate odds. We do not weigh costs and benefits. We simply fight until one side is completely destroyed. It is not smart. It is not civilized. But it has kept us alive when nothing else would. The cargo bay was silent again. Jiwoo and Taemin stood beside their commander, united in their message. The crew members watching from the edges looked scared but determined. They were all thinking the same thing. If this went wrong, if the aliens decided to attack anyway, they would all die here in this forgotten nebula. But they would die fighting. Because that was what humans did. Koronix looked at her warriors, then back at Hyunwoo. She was calculating now, trying to decide if the risk was worth it. Her instinct said to crush these upstart humans before they became a real threat. But her experience said that sometimes the smart play was to avoid a fight you might not win. Prove it, she said finally. Show me this weapon of yours. Demonstrate that you can actually do what you claim. And then we will talk about what comes next. Hyunwoo nodded slowly. Very well. But understand this. What you are about to see is just a taste. A fraction of what we are capable of. And if you try to attack us after seeing it, you will not get a second chance. He turned to Taemin. Lieutenant, prepare the quantum disruptor. Set it to minimum power. Target one of the wrecked ships in the debris field. Let us show Warlord Karanix what humans can do. The group moved to the bridge. Karanix and her warriors had to walk hunched over through the corridors, their massive bodies not fitting the human-sized spaces. It should have been humorous, but no one laughed. The tension was too thick for that. On the bridge, Taimin worked at his station with quick, nervous movements. He brought up targeting systems and power controls. The quantum drive began to hum with a strange frequency that made everyone's teeth feel odd. Even the Vraxian warriors shifted uncomfortably at the sound. The target is the destroyed frigate at coordinates 247, Taimin announced. It is still showing residual power in its core. Perfect for demonstration. Karanix moved to the view screen. She could see the wreckage floating in the nebula. The frigate was one of her people's ships destroyed in a recent battle with the Confederation. Its hull was torn open, its crew long dead, but its power core was still intact, still generating small amounts of energy. That ship is no threat, she said. It is already dead. Destroying a corpse proves nothing. Watch closely, Hyunwoo said. This is set to 1/10 power, just enough to show you what happens. If we used full power against your fleet, the effect would be 100 times stronger, and it would hit all your ships at the same time. He nodded to Taimin. The young officer took a deep breath and activated the quantum disruptor. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the horizon sensors started screaming warnings. On the view screen, the dead frigate began to shimmer. Its hull rippled like water. The metal itself seemed to forget what shape it was supposed to be. Jiwoo watched her instruments carefully. The quantum field is inverting the zero-point energy matrix. The core is trying to stabilize but cannot. It is caught in a feedback loop. The frigate's power core began to glow, brighter and brighter, like a small sun being born. The glow spread through the dead ship's corridors, turning metal transparent. For a heartbeat, the entire frigate existed in multiple quantum states at once, both solid and not solid, both intact and destroyed. Then it exploded, but not like a normal explosion. There was no fire, no shockwave. Instead, the frigate simply tore itself apart at the molecular level. It dissolved into streams of exotic particles that spread out in beautiful, deadly patterns. In seconds, a ship that had taken years to build was reduced to nothing but dispersing energy. Every alarm on the Vraxian ship started blaring. Karanix could hear her officers shouting through her comm device. Their sensors had detected the quantum distortion. They had seen what it did to the frigate's core. And they were terrified because every single one of their ships used the exact same technology. Bellamora was speaking rapidly in Vraxian, her voice high with stress. The other warriors looked shaken. They had fought in hundreds of battles. They had seen terrible weapons. But this was different. This was not just a weapon that could destroy their ships. This was a weapon that turned their greatest strength into their greatest weakness. That was minimum power, Hyunwoo said quietly, against a dead ship. Now imagine what happens to your entire fleet. All those cores linked by quantum entanglement. One trigger, and they all go critical within seconds. No shields can stop it. No armor can protect against it. Your own power source becomes your executioner. Karanix turned to face him. Her forearms were tense, her body coiled like she might attack. But her eyes showed something else. Not just fear, understanding. She was beginning to see humans the way they really were. You would use this, she said. It was not a question. If I ordered my fleet to attack, you would activate this weapon and kill everyone, including yourselves. Yes, Hyunwoo said simply. We would rather die free than live as slaves. That is not negotiable. That is not something you can intimidate out of us. It is simply who we are. Jiwoo pulled up more data. But there is something worse. Something you need to know before you make any decisions. We encrypted the specifications for this weapon. We set it to broadcast automatically on a time delay. If we do not cancel that transmission every 12 hours, it sends to every corner of space we can reach. She looked directly at Karanix. Every species you have conquered will receive the plans. Every vassal world, every slave population, everyone who has reason to hate the Vraxian Empire will suddenly have a weapon that can level the playing field. The implications hit Karanix like a physical blow. The Vraxian Empire controlled hundreds of species across dozens of star systems. Most of them hated their Vraxian overlords. Most would rebel if they had the chance. And this weapon would give them that chance. You would doom billions, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. To save billions more of our own people? Hyunwoo asked. In a heartbeat. We told you. We have nearly destroyed ourselves many times. We know what extinction looks like. We know what it means to make impossible choices. And we will do it again if we must, Taemin spoke up, his young voice steady now. My grandmother lived through the 3-day nuclear exchange. 90 million people died. She survived in a shelter, drinking recycled water and eating protein paste. She told me that the worst part was not the death. It was the certainty that it would happen again. That humans would keep killing each other until nothing was left. He looked at the Vraxian warriors, but we are still here, still alive, still fighting. You want to know why? Because we learned to survive the unsurvivable, because we adapted when adaptation should have been impossible, because we refused to accept defeat no matter how certain it seems. Velamora asked something in her language. Karanix responded, then translated for the humans. She wants to know what you want. If not surrender, if not slavery, then what? What is your demand? Nothing, Hyunwoo said. We want nothing from you except to be left alone. Go back to your empire. Tell them that Earth is not a threat as long as they do not threaten us. Tell them that we offer trade and knowledge but never submission. That is all. And if the Empire decides you are too dangerous to leave alone, Karanix asked. If they send more fleets? Bigger fleets? Jiwoo smiled coldly. Then we give the quantum disruptor plans to everyone, and we start working on the next weapon, and the one after that. Humans are very good at creating ways to kill. Give us a few years and we will have weapons you cannot even imagine. That is insane, Karanix said. You would turn the entire galaxy into a war zone. No, Hyunwoo corrected. We would give conquered species the tools to free themselves. What they do with those tools is their choice. But yes, it would probably mean war. Lots of war. And many would die. But at least they would die fighting for their freedom instead of living on their knees. He stepped closer to Karanix. You said you have lived for 300 years. You have conquered 17 systems. You think that makes you strong. But let me tell you something about strength. Real strength is not about how long you live or how many you conquer. Real strength is about refusing to die when death is certain. Real strength is about getting back up when staying down would be easier. Humans have that strength, he continued. We have been knocked down so many times that we have forgotten how to stay down. Every disaster that should have ended us only made us more dangerous. Every weapon that should have destroyed us only taught us new ways to survive. That is what you are facing. Not a primitive species, not easy prey, but survivors who have been forged in fires you cannot imagine. The bridge was silent. Even the ship's systems seemed to quiet, as if the universe itself was waiting for Karanix's response. She looked at Hyunwoo, really looked at him. Saw past the small body and short lifespan, saw the iron core beneath, saw 300 centuries of human survival compressed into one determined expression. And she made a decision. There is another option, she said slowly, one that does not end in mutual destruction. But it will require both of us to take a risk. To trust when trust seems impossible. Hyunwoo raised an eyebrow. I am listening. My people respect strength, Karanix said. We respect warriors. And despite your small size and short lives, you are warriors. You have proven that. So I propose something we have not done in 1,000 years. I propose a test of combat, single battle. One of your people against one of mine. If you win, we leave you alone and take your message back to the Empire. If we win, you agree to negotiate terms for cooperation, not surrender, but mutual benefit. She spread all 4 arms wide. What do you say, Commander Hyunwoo? Do you trust your human strength enough to face a Vraxian warrior in fair combat? Hyunwoo looked at Jiwoo and Taemin. They were worried. A Vraxian warrior stood 8 feet tall with 4 arms and bones like steel. Any human who fought one would be at a massive disadvantage. But they also understood that this might be their only chance to avoid a war that would kill billions. I accept, Hyunwoo said, but I have conditions. No weapons, no armor, no technology, just skill and determination, and I will be the one who fights, Karanix smiled. It was a warrior's smile, full of respect and anticipation. I accept your conditions, and I will be your opponent. I do not ask my warriors to take risks I would not take myself. We fight in 1 hour. That gives us both time to prepare. The cargo bay became an arena. Crew members and Vraxian warriors formed a circle, creating a space in the center. The humans looked nervous. The aliens looked confident. They had seen Karanix fight before. They knew what she could do. In a small room off the cargo bay, Jiwoo helped Hyunwoo prepare. She wrapped his hands in protective tape and checked his injuries. The shoulder Karanix had crushed earlier was swollen and painful, but he could still move it. "This is crazy," Jiwoo said quietly. "She is twice your size and has 4 arms. She has been a warrior for 300 years. You are going to get hurt. Maybe killed. Probably," Hyunwoo agreed. "But this is better than the alternative. If we fight with weapons, everyone dies. If we run, they chase us back to Earth. This way, at least we have a chance." Taemin came in carrying water. "The crew wants you to know they believe in you, sir. Whatever happens, we are proud to serve with you." Hyunwoo smiled. "Tell them I am proud to serve with them too. And tell them that humans do not give up. Not ever." When the hour was up, Hyunwoo walked into the cargo bay. He wore simple clothes with no shoes. His hands were taped but otherwise bare. He looked small and fragile compared to the massive aliens watching him. Kiranix entered from the other side. She had removed her armor and weapons. Her red skin seemed to glow in the artificial light. Her 4 arms flexed with barely contained power. Muscles moved under her skin like steel cables. She was a perfect warrior, built by evolution and trained by centuries of combat. They faced each other in the center of the circle. The size difference was shocking. Kiranix was nearly twice Hyunwoo's height and probably 4 times his weight. But his eyes were steady. He showed no fear. "You still have time to surrender," Kiranix said. "I do not wish to kill you." "You are brave. That deserves respect." "I appreciate that," Hyunwoo said. "But I did not come here to surrender. I came here to show you what humans are made of." Kiranix nodded. "Then let us begin." She attacked first. All 4 arms moved in a coordinated strike that should have ended the fight immediately. But Hyunwoo was not there. He had moved before she finished her motion, stepping inside the arc of her reach. His smaller size became an advantage, allowing him to get close where her longer arms could not easily strike. He struck at her knee, using a sharp kick that would have crippled a human. But Kiranix barely felt it. Her bones were too dense, her body too strong. She grabbed for him with her lower left arm, but he rolled away, using the momentum to put distance between them. The fight settled into a pattern. Kiranix attacked with overwhelming force. Hyunwoo evaded and redirected, never trying to match her strength. He targeted joints and pressure points. He used movement and angles. He fought like someone who had studied every martial art humanity ever developed. But it was not enough. Kiranix was too experienced, too skilled. She began to predict his movements. One of her punches caught him in the ribs and something cracked. The pain was instant and terrible. He stumbled back, gasping. The Vraxian warriors cheered. The human crew went silent. This was it. The end was coming. Kiranix moved in for the finish. All 4 arms reached to grab him, to pin him, to end this honorably. But as she reached, Hyunwoo did something she did not expect. He stepped forward into her grip, closer than any sane opponent would go, so close that her arms tangled trying to grab him. And then he used an old wrestling technique. He dropped low, grabbed her leg, and used leverage and momentum to throw her. It should not have worked. She was too big, too heavy. But Hyunwoo was not trying to lift her. He was using her own forward motion against her, redirecting her weight. Kiranix crashed to the deck with a sound like thunder. For a moment she just lay there, stunned. Not by pain, but by impossibility. She had been thrown. By a human. By someone half her size who should not have been able to move her at all. Hyunwoo could have finished it. He was in position for a chokehold, but his ribs were broken. His shoulder was barely working. His body was telling him to stop. And more than that, he saw something in Kiranix's eyes. Not defeat, understanding. He stepped back and extended his hand. "Do you yield?" Kiranix stared at the offered hand. She could continue. Should continue. But she understood now what this human was showing her. It was not about winning or losing. It was about something deeper. She took his hand and let him help her up. The gesture was symbolic. He could not actually lift her weight, but it meant something. To both of them, "I yield," she said. The words felt strange. She had never said them before in 3 centuries of life. Not because you are stronger. Not because your technique is better. I yield because I finally understand what you are. She looked around at the assembled humans and Vraxians. You are survivors. You do not fight to prove superiority. You fight because giving up means death, and you have never accepted death as an answer. Your species has faced extinction so many times that you have learned to see impossible odds as just another challenge. Hyunwoo nodded, breathing hard through the pain. Yes, that is exactly what we are. We are not the strongest. We are not the smartest. We are not the most advanced. But we are the ones who refuse to quit. And that makes us dangerous in ways you cannot predict. Velamora stepped forward. The young warrior looked at Hyunwoo with new respect. You could have finished the fight. Why did you not? Because this was never about defeating Kharonix, Hyunwoo said. It was about showing your people that humans cannot be conquered by force alone. We can be killed, but we cannot be made to kneel. And any empire that tries to conquer us will bleed more than they can afford. Jiwoo rushed forward to help Hyunwoo. His legs were shaking now, adrenaline fading and leaving only pain, but he stayed standing. He would not let himself fall, not here, not in front of these aliens. Kharonix watched him struggle to stay upright. She understood that too. Pride, determination, the refusal to show weakness even when weakness was natural. These humans were like her people in some ways, warriors at heart, but different in one crucial respect. Vraxians fought to conquer. Humans fought to survive, and survival made them far more dangerous. We will negotiate, Kharonix announced. Not terms of surrender. Terms of mutual respect. The Vraxian Empire will leave Earth alone. In exchange, you will share some of your innovations. Not weapons, knowledge, medical technology. Problem-solving methods. The things you developed while trying to save yourselves from extinction. She paused. And we will establish an embassy program. Your people will learn about our empire. Our people will learn about your survival methods. Perhaps both species will benefit. Hyunwoo nodded. That is acceptable. But understand this. If your empire breaks this agreement, if you attack Earth or try to conquer us through deception, the quantum disruptor plans get broadcast immediately. No warnings. No second chances, I understand, Kharonix said. And I will make sure the Empire understands too. You have earned something rare today, Commander. You have earned the respect of the Vraxian warlords. That is not given lightly. She touched her chest with all four hands in what must have been a salute. Her warriors did the same. Then in a flash of light they were gone, teleported back to their ships. The moment they disappeared, Hyunwoo finally allowed himself to collapse. Jiwoo and Taemin caught him, lowering him carefully to the deck. The crew surrounded them, cheering and crying at the same time. They had done the impossible. They had faced the Vraxian Empire and survived. More than survived. They had earned respect, and humanity's place among the stars had just changed forever. The negotiations lasted through the night. Hyunwoo sat in the conference room with medical bandages wrapped around his ribs, his shoulder in a brace. Across from him, Kharonix and Velamora represented the Vraxian Empire. Jiwoo and Taemin flanked their commander, ready to provide support. The atmosphere was different now. Before the fight, there had been threats and intimidation. Now there was something closer to mutual respect. The Vraxians still looked at humans as physically inferior, but they no longer saw them as weak. Let me explain the situation you face, Kharonix said. The Vraxian Empire is vast, but it is not the only power in this region of space. There is the Confederation, our primary rival. There are the hive minds of the Outer Rim. There are ancient species who watch from the shadows. The galaxy is more dangerous than you know. She pulled up a holographic star map. Hundreds of systems glowed in different colors. Red for Vraxian territory, blue for the Confederation, green for neutral zones, and vast areas of black where no one knew what existed. Earth is here. She pointed to a spot on the edge of Vraxian space. You are in a contested region. If we leave you alone, others will come, and they may not be as willing to negotiate as I am. Hyunwoo studied the map. Earth looked so small and isolated, one tiny world surrounded by empires that had existed for thousands of years. It should have been terrifying. But he felt something else, determination. Then we need allies, he said. Not masters. Allies. Species who will trade with us, share information with us, and respect our independence. Can you be that ally? Kharonix considered this. The Empire does not usually make alliances. We conquer or we destroy. But you have shown me something I did not expect. You have shown me that there are other forms of strength. So yes, I will recommend to the Council that we make an exception for humanity. Jiwoo leaned forward. What would this alliance look like? What would you want from us? Knowledge, Velamora said. It was the first time the young warrior had spoken directly to the humans. Your species developed faster than light travel in less than a century of spaceflight. It took us 5,000 years to achieve the same thing. Your medical technology is primitive but innovative. Your problem-solving methods are creative in ways we have forgotten. She looked at Karanix, who nodded permission to continue. The Empire has become stagnant. We rely on technology developed tens of thousands of years ago. We stopped innovating because we did not need to. But the galaxy is changing. New threats are emerging. We need to remember how to adapt. And perhaps humans can teach us that. Taemin spoke up. And what would we receive in return? What can your empire offer Earth? Protection, Karanix said. Not occupation. Not control, but a guarantee that any species who attacks Earth will face the Vraxian fleet. We will also provide star charts of safe routes through this region of space, warning about dangerous zones, information about other species you might encounter. She paused. And we will send teachers, warriors who can train your people in combat, scientists who can help you understand technologies you will encounter, diplomats who can guide you through first contact with other species, not to rule you, to help you survive. Hyunwoo thought about this carefully. It was a good offer, better than he had expected. But there was danger too. Allowing Vraxian teachers and diplomats onto Earth meant giving them access to human society. Learning human weaknesses. Gathering intelligence, Jiwoo must have seen his concern. She spoke quietly. We would want reciprocal access. Human observers in your empire. The right to study your technology. Cultural exchanges that go both ways. If we are truly allies, the relationship must be equal. Karanix smiled. You do not trust easily. Good. That will help you survive. Yes, we can agree to reciprocal access. Some of our technology must remain secret for security reasons. I assume Earth has similar restrictions? Absolutely, Hyunwoo confirmed. The quantum disruptor specifications remain classified, along with several other technologies we developed. But we can share medical advances, agricultural techniques, and basic scientific knowledge. The negotiations continued for hours. They discussed trade routes and communication protocols. They established rules for how disputes would be resolved. They agreed on the number of observers each species would be allowed. Slowly, carefully, they built a framework for cooperation. By the time they finished, both sides were exhausted. But they had an agreement. Not friendship, not yet, but something that could grow into friendship given time and trust. Before she left, Karanix asked to speak with Hyunwoo privately. They stood in an empty corridor away from their respective crews. There is something you should know, she said quietly. Something I cannot say in front of the others. The Vraxian Empire is not as strong as it appears. We have been in decline for centuries. We conquer because we do not know how else to survive. Our people have forgotten how to innovate, how to adapt, how to change. She looked at him with her 4 eyes, and he saw something like sadness there. When I met you, when I demanded you kneel, I was following a script. The same script we have followed for 50,000 years. But you broke the script. You showed me that there are other ways. Ways we had forgotten or never learned. Why are you telling me this? Hyunwoo asked. Because I want you to understand what you have really done today, Karanix said. You did not just save Earth. You gave the Empire something it desperately needed, hope, the possibility of change. Felmora and others like her will take what they learned here and spread it through our worlds. Maybe it will make a difference. Maybe it will not. But for the first time in centuries, we have a chance to become something better. Hyunwoo was silent for a moment. Then he said, We are all survivors, Karanix. Your species and mine. We just survived different things. Maybe that is why we can help each other now. She nodded. Perhaps. But be careful, Commander. There are other species in the galaxy. Some are worse than we are. Some will not negotiate. Some will see your quantum disruptor and decide you are too dangerous to allow to exist. You have won one battle today, but the war for survival never truly ends. We know, Hyunwoo said simply. Humans have been fighting for survival since we learned to walk upright. One more war will not stop us. Karanix touched her chest in salute. I believe you. I will report to the Empire that humans are not a lesser species, that they should be left alone and treated as equals. Some warlords will not like this. Some will argue for conquest anyway, but I will make them understand. And if they do not listen, I will remind them what happened to the frigate you destroyed. She turned to leave, then paused. One last thing. There is a threat coming, something the Empire has been monitoring for years. The Confederation of Daresh. They are mobilizing for war. When they learn about your quantum technology, they will want it, or they will want you dead so no one else can have it. I estimate you have 8 of your months before they arrive at Earth. Hyunwoo felt his stomach drop. 8 months? Perhaps less, Kuranik said. Use the time wisely. Build defenses. Make allies. Prepare for war. Because the Confederation does not negotiate. They do not respect strength. They simply take what they want or destroy what they cannot take. With that warning, she vanished in a flash of teleportation light. Hyunwoo stood alone in the corridor, processing what she had told him. 8 months. Maybe less. Another threat coming. Another war to prepare for. He smiled that same knowing smile he had worn when facing Karanix. The galaxy thought humans were weak, thought they could be conquered or destroyed. But the galaxy did not understand yet. Humans had survived ice ages and plagues and world wars and nuclear exchanges. They had survived things that should have killed them 1,000 times over. 8 months was plenty of time. Plenty of time to show the galaxy what humans were really capable of when given a deadline and a clear target. He walked back to the bridge where Jiwoo and Taemin were waiting. They looked at him expectantly. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Full speed. We have work to do, and not much time to do it. The horizon turned toward home, carrying its crew in the knowledge that would change humanity forever. They had gone into the stars as explorers. They were returning as warriors, and the galaxy was about to learn why that made all the difference. 3 months had passed since the horizon. Return to Earth. 3 months that changed everything, Admiral. Hyunwoo stood in the command center of Earth's new orbital defense platform and looked out at the construction happening all around. Dozens of ships were being built. New weapons were being tested. Alliances were being formed. Humanity had learned its lesson. The galaxy was dangerous and Earth needed to be ready. The news of first contact had shocked the world. Some people were excited. Others were terrified. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humanity could not afford to be caught unprepared again. Every nation contributed resources to the defense effort. Old rivalries were put aside. For the first time in history, Earth was truly united. Dr. Jiwoo entered the command center carrying a data tablet. She had been promoted to chief of xenobiology and was now in charge of studying all alien species Earth encountered. Her work on Vraxian biology had made her famous overnight. The embassy program is working well, she reported. We have 12 Vraxian observers on Earth now. They are teaching combat tactics to our military academies. In exchange, we are sharing medical technologies that can extend their lifespans even further. The cultural exchange is fascinating, Hyunwoo nodded. And our observers in the Empire? How are they doing? Better than expected. Velmora has taken a personal interest in protecting them. She says they ask questions no Vraxian would think to ask. Questions about why things are done certain ways. Questions that are making some of the older warlords uncomfortable. Jiwoo smiled. Change is always uncomfortable. But Karanix was right. The Empire needs to adapt. And we are giving them tools to do that, just by being ourselves. Lieutenant Taemin approached. He had been promoted to commander and now taught at the new Stellar Defense Academy. His experiences on the horizon made him valuable for training the next generation of officers. Admiral, the new fleet is almost ready, he reported. 50 ships all equipped with quantum drives and defensive systems, based on what we learned from the Vraxians. We also completed the quantum disruptor network. Any ship approaching Earth without authorization will face immediate defensive action. Hyunwoo looked at the construction happening in orbit. 50 ships in 3 months. It was an incredible achievement. But he knew it might not be enough. The Confederation was coming, and according to Vraxian intelligence, they had resources that made the Empire look small. What about the other species? He asked. Have any responded to our outreach? Jiwoo pulled up a star map. 3 smaller species have agreed to trade agreements. They are all former Vraxian vassals who are interested in the quantum disruptor technology. We shared limited information with them as a gesture of good faith. 2 other species have sent exploratory missions but have not committed to anything yet. She paused. And then there is the message from the Confederation. It arrived this morning. Hyunwoo felt his stomach tighten. Show me. Jiwoo activated the holographic display. An alien appeared. This one was nothing like the Vraxians. It was insectoid with multiple legs and eyes that glowed with cold intelligence. When it spoke, its voice was translated by the computer in flat, emotionless tones. Humans of Earth. We are the Confederation of Daresh. We have learned of your quantum manipulation technology. This technology poses a threat to all advanced civilizations. You will surrender all research and specifications immediately. You will also surrender your quantum-capable vessels. You will comply within 30 of your days. Failure to comply will result in the pacification of your world. This is not negotiable. This is not a request. This is a statement of fact. The message ended. The three humans stood in silence for a moment. Then Taemin spoke. They are giving us a month. Not even asking. Just demanding. They think we are like the other species they have conquered, Jiwoo said. They think humans will surrender to superior force. Hyunwoo smiled that knowing smile. The smile that had started everything with Karanix. The smile that said he knew something his opponents did not. Then they have made the same mistake the Vraxians made, he said. They do not understand what humans are. But they will learn. Send a response. Tell them that Earth does not negotiate with threats. Tell them that if they approach our system with hostile intent, they will face consequences they cannot imagine. Taemin looked concerned. Sir, the Confederation is much larger than the Vraxian Empire. They have thousands of ships. Even with our new fleet, we cannot match their numbers. No, Hyunwoo agreed. We cannot match their numbers. But we do not need to. We just need to make victory too expensive for them to accept. We need to show them that conquering Earth will cost them more than they are willing to pay. Jiwoo understood. You are going to broadcast the quantum disruptor plans. To everyone. Every species in the galaxy. Not yet, Hyunwoo said. But I am going to make sure the Confederation knows we will do it if they attack. They rely on advanced technology just like the Vraxians do. If we give every conquered species in the galaxy the tools to fight back, the Confederation will face rebellions on 1,000 worlds. They will collapse under the weight of their own empire. He turned to face his officers. This is what humans do. We turn our enemies' strengths into weaknesses. We make it too expensive to conquer us. We survive not by being the strongest, but by making sure everyone else pays too high a price to destroy us. A communication signal came through. It was Karanix. Her holographic image appeared in the command center. Admiral Hyunwoo, she said. I assume you received the Confederation's message. I wanted you to know that the Vraxian Empire will honor our agreement. If the Confederation attacks Earth, we will provide military support. Not because we must, but because it is the right thing to do. Hyunwoo was surprised. Your empire will risk war with the Confederation for us? Karanix smiled her warrior's smile. You showed us something we had forgotten. How to stand up to bullies. How to fight when the odds are impossible. How to survive through determination rather than surrender. We owe you that lesson. And besides, the Confederation has been a threat to us for centuries. Working together, perhaps both our species can ensure they do not threaten anyone ever again. After the communication ended, Jiwoo looked at Hyunwoo. Do you really think we can win this? The Confederation is so large, so powerful. I think we can survive this, Hyunwoo said. And for humans, survival is the same thing as victory. We have faced extinction before. Nuclear war. Climate collapse. Pandemic plagues. We always find a way. This is just one more challenge. One more impossible situation. One more chance to prove that humans do not kneel. He looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Confederation fleet was preparing to come to Earth. They thought they knew what they were facing. A primitive species. A weak target. An easy conquest. They were wrong. So very wrong. Across Earth, millions of humans were preparing. Building ships. Training soldiers. Developing new weapons. Forming alliances. Doing what humans had always done when faced with extinction. They were adapting. Innovating. Surviving. In the Vraxian Empire, Velmora was training young warriors in the new methods she had learned from humans, teaching them to think differently, to question old assumptions, to see that there were many forms of strength. In the territories of former Vraxian vassals, species that had been conquered centuries ago were hearing whispers, stories about humans who refused to kneel, tales of weapons that could level the playing field. Hope was spreading like wildfire across the galaxy. And in the cold, calculating minds of the Confederation leadership, a miscalculation was being made. They saw humans as a minor threat, a problem to be solved quickly and efficiently. They did not understand that sometimes the smallest opponent is the most dangerous. They did not understand that humans had been forged in fires that would have destroyed stronger species. They did not understand that humans never, ever gave up. Taemin asked one final question. Sir, when the Confederation arrives, do you think they will negotiate? Or will they attack immediately? Hyunwoo thought about it. Then he smiled. They will attack. They do not believe negotiation is necessary with lesser species, and that will be their mistake. Because by the time they realize what humans really are, it will be too late. He turned to his officers. Pass the word to all stations. We have 27 days until the deadline. Let us make them count. Let us show the galaxy what humans can accomplish when given a clear deadline and an impossible challenge. As his officers left to carry out their orders, Yunwu stood alone in the command center. He thought about Karanix's first words to him, her demand that he kneel, her certainty that humans were a lesser species. She had learned better. The Confederation would learn too. Every species that underestimated humanity would eventually learn the same lesson. Humans did not kneel. Humans did not surrender. Humans did not accept defeat, they adapted. They survived. They found ways to win when winning should have been impossible. And that, more than any weapon or technology or alliance, was what made them dangerous. That was what made them survivors. That was what made them human. The galaxy was about to learn a lesson that Earth had learned long ago. Never underestimate the species that has been fighting for survival since the day it learned to walk upright. Never assume that the smallest opponent is the weakest.